Hey guys, Mike here. So today's cult classic review is 1968's Barbarella, starring Jane Fonda as Barbarella. In Barbarella, an astronaut from the 41st century is sent out to stop the evil scientist Duran Duran from using his positronic ray to bring evil back to the galaxy. And so we have Barbarella. So guys, this is a movie in this series before watching and reviewing it today. I had not seen it before, and I don't believe that I'd heard of this one before either. But I took one look at the poster, and I was pretty much just like, well, let's just try and get through this one with some sanity intact. So, what did I think of Barbarella? Now obviously, as soon as you start this film, or even looking at the poster, you know that this is a film that you just really can't take seriously. You can't really judge it to the same degree that you would most other films. But pretending for a moment that this isn't just a silly, spoofy sci-fi movie, let's judge it on some actual merits. The performances are pretty terrible, the story is weak, the protagonist is mostly incompetent, and this just isn't an enjoyable film to watch. Now obviously, most of the acting back in the late 60s wasn't exactly anything to write home about, and this movie is no exception. The story obviously is very basic. You've got to go out and stop a scientist and just win. There's no kind of nuance, there's no real twist to this one. It's just what it is. And when I say that Barbarella is mostly incompetent, it's just every time she's either tripping over, being saved by someone else, or just overall just not really contributing much to her own story. And obviously, its biggest crime is that it's just dated as hell. But you can't really judge Barbarella on any of those points, because you really need to judge this film on what it actually is. And it mostly comes from the time that it's released. It's all about promoting free love. Because obviously in the late 60s that was a massive thing at the time, and Barbarella does that in spades. Because this has got to be one of the horniest movies I've ever seen in my entire life. It wastes no time to either get Jane Fonda completely naked or in some kind of skimpy outfit. But really that's what the film was all about. It was about promoting this healthy sexuality and everything like that. Saying it's okay to be more expressive with yourself and not be so repressed all the time. Obviously it puts this message at the forefront rather than telling a good narrative. But I mean, at the end of the day, that's not something you can necessarily fault the movie for. And when a movie's got a mostly positive message like that, you know what? Good for it. But honestly, I'm being very generous when I say this, because judging it by today's standard, this movie is just not really enjoyable in the slightest. And honestly, this movie was an absolute struggle to get through. Because pretty much from the first to last scene, I just wanted this movie to end. Because sure, it promotes free love, but beyond that, it has nothing else going for it. And this movie just hasn't stood the test of time. Not like, say, something like Planet of the Apes, which came out the same year. And really, I knew that I wasn't in for a good time with this movie when I saw that Barbarella was kidnapped by two kids and rode on a sled led by a stingray on an ice planet. That should have been my first clue that this movie wasn't going to be very good. But I'd say another positive that come from this film is that the Birmingham band Duran Duran got their band name from this film. So it seems that's another positive, I guess. So guys, would I consider Barbarella a personal cult classic, and would I recommend that you guys should see it? I could see why this movie has become a cult classic. It's obviously not a movie that you should take seriously. And it's just, if you can kind of like not take it seriously, it can be a bit fun. And for most people, this is a case of that it's so bad it's good. But for me, honestly, this is just a bad movie. And besides the couple of positives I said about it, I couldn't really see past that. So I would not consider this one a personal cult classic, because I just never want to watch this film again. But as for whether or not you guys should see it, I would not recommend that you should watch this film. The only reason I would recommend it is a lesson in history, to see how free love was promoted in movies at the time. But beyond that, the acting's bad, it's not really funny, it's not exciting, it's incredibly dated, and just this movie was an absolute struggle to get through. So do yourselves a favour, honestly, I would say avoid Barbarella. Okay guys, that's my cult classic review of Barbarella. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Whatever you think, drop it in the comments below. Until next time, I've been Michael. See ya!